Victor Wembanyama needs one unstoppable move to take the Spurs over the top. Wembanyama has repeatedly said that he does not want his game placed inside a box. That is not the same as refusing to develop a signature move. But after the NBA Finals exposed how much harder San Antonio's offense became when fatigue and pressure took over, the question is impossible to ignore. Should the Spurs help their franchise player build one repeatable late-game answer? The solution probably begins at the elbow, where Victor can see the entire floor and weaponize his nearly unblockable release. But the location is only part of the story. By the end of this video, we will identify the action that best fits Wembanyama, explain how it could protect him when his legs begin to fade, and reveal what mastering it could mean for San Antonio's championship ceiling. Game 4 of the NBA Finals provided the clearest evidence of the problem. Wembanyama scored 16 points on 6 of 11 shooting in the first half, grabbed 6 rebounds, and posted a plus 28 rating. In the second half, after his workload continued to climb, he scored 8 points on 3 of 14 shooting and finished that portion of the game at minus 27. Victor later acknowledged that fatigue had been a factor, while Mitch Johnson admitted that he needed to do a better job preserving Wembanyama's energy for the closing minutes. The collapse extended beyond one player. Over the final 21.5 minutes, the Spurs scored only 25 points on 40 possessions, shot 6 of 35, and committed 8 turnovers. One move would not have solved every problem, but San Antonio clearly needed a dependable offensive shortcut when its pace, passing, and decision-making disappeared. That is the real purpose of a go-to move. It is not supposed to erase the rest of a superstar's game or make every possession look identical. It becomes a home base, one action the player can enter without processing every possible option, while the defense, crowd, and game clock are applying maximum pressure. The best version also contains natural counters. If the defender takes away the original shot, the same setup can create a drive, a pass, or a second scoring option. For Wembanyama, that matters, because his greatest offensive advantage can occasionally become a complication. He possesses so many possible solutions that choosing between them can cost valuable time. When he is fresh, that freedom makes him unpredictable. When he is exhausted, the same decision tree can make the offense slower exactly when San Antonio needs certainty. NBA history supports the value of that certainty, even if every superstar found it differently. Tim Duncan could reach his bank shot from familiar areas without wasting movement. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar could produce the skyhook even when defenders knew it was coming. And Michael Jordan repeatedly controlled games with his mid-range fadeaway. LeBron James was different because he never depended on one trademark jumper. His repeatable advantage during his physical prime was the pressure he created in transition. The lesson is not that Wembanyama must copy one of those players. It is that the greatest scorers usually possess an advantage they can reproduce under pressure. San Antonio does not need Victor to become Duncan, Kareem, or LeBron. It needs him to discover the version of that certainty that fits a 7'4" player with guard skills, historic length, and an unprecedented offensive ceiling. That becomes even more important during the playoffs because a 7-game series gradually eliminates surprise. Opponents study preferred hands, catches, counters, passing angles, and every location from which a star feels comfortable. By games 5, 6, and 7, the defense usually knows what is coming. The deciding factor is whether it can actually stop it. Wembanyama is correct to value freedom and unpredictability, but those qualities become even more dangerous when built around a reliable foundation. He would not be abandoning creativity. He would be forcing the defense to stop his strongest answer before unlocking everything else. And once that foundation exists, the counters become more effective because they begin from a threat the opponent has no choice but to respect. If you value this Spurs analysis, like the video and subscribe. San Antonio received a perfect demonstration of that principle during its 136-134 overtime loss to Denver on April 4th. Nikola Jokic finished with 40 points, while Wembanyama answered with 34 points and 18 rebounds in a spectacular individual battle. During overtime, Jokic backed Victor down, created his preferred angle, and converted his patented Sombor shuffle over the outstretched arms of the eventual Defensive Player of the Year. That shot did not win the game by itself, but it helped Denver close the victory and demonstrated exactly what a repeatable weapon is designed to do. Jokic did not have to invent a new solution because the defender was longer. He returned to an action he had rehearsed thousands of times, trusted his balance, and released the ball before Wembanyama's reach could erase it. The defense understood the move and still could not prevent the result. There is an important complication, however. Turning Wembanyama into a stationary isolation player would work against the offense Mitch Johnson has been developing. Johnson has publicly emphasized playing fast, moving the ball, and preventing opponents from surrounding Victor with multiple defenders. San Antonio has increasingly generated his opportunities through rolls, dribble handoffs, early offense, and actions that allow him to build momentum toward the basket. Those principles helped Wembanyama play bigger and attack the paint more frequently. Any signature package should therefore complement that system, not replace it. The Spurs should not spend entire possessions waiting for Victor to fight for a static post-up while 4 teammates watch. They need an action that can emerge naturally from their existing movement and become available when the initial offense no longer produces an advantage. This next part is tactical analysis, not a reported Spurs plan. In my view, the best candidate is an elbow-based face-up package, anchored by a high-release turnaround or one-dribble pull-up. From either elbow, Wembanyama would be close enough to threaten the basket without beginning every possession inside a crowded paint. He could see help defenders before they fully commit, survey cutters on both sides, and use his release point against virtually any individual matchup. Most importantly, the location would shorten his decision tree. Instead of catching the ball 28 feet from the basket and exploring every possible dribble combination, Victor could receive it in a predetermined scoring area with the first option already established. Square the defender, create one controlled piece of separation, and rise into a shot that very few players in basketball could seriously contest. The action becomes dangerous when the counters grow around it. If a smaller defender crowds his body to prevent the jumper, Wembanyama can attack with one long dribble and finish before the secondary rim protector arrives. If a stronger center gives him space to protect against the drive, Victor can immediately rise into the pull-up. If the weak side defender commits early, the elbow gives Wembanyama a clear passing angle toward a cutter or an open shooter. The goal is not to give him 10 additional decisions. It is to force the defense to answer one dominant threat and then punish the specific response. Repetition would also matter. The value would come from practicing the same footwork, balance, and release until the action remains stable, even after 40 demanding playoff minutes. That is how the move could lower the mental and physical cost of creating a quality shot without pretending it would eliminate fatigue entirely. This package would also fit the guards San Antonio has assembled. De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, and Dylan Harper can all pressure the paint and initiate the offense, which means Wembanyama would not have to create every elbow catch by himself. Fox could generate it after a pick and roll forces the defense to retreat. Castle or Harper could enter the ball after driving into the paint and pulling a second defender toward them. Carter Bryant or another floor spacer could occupy the weak side, making an aggressive double team more expensive. The Spurs could disguise the same destination through several starting points: a dribble handoff, a screen and roll, a cross screen, or an early transition seal. That variation would preserve Johnson's flowing offense while still giving Victor one recognizable late clock destination whenever the original action breaks down. There are no guarantees. Wembanyama would still need to improve his balance, protect the ball against lower defenders, and maintain enough patience to recognize double teams. Some opponents would force him away from the elbow before the catch, while others would accept the jumper and try to prevent everything at the rim. A signature action also cannot correct every mistake San Antonio made during the finals. The Spurs still need cleaner execution, stronger late-game spacing, and better management of Wembanyama's workload. But that is exactly why this proposal is realistic. It is not presented as a magical solution. It is one targeted improvement that could make difficult possessions less expensive and give the entire offense a clearer structure when playoff pressure removes its easier options. The larger consequence could define San Antonio's next postseason. The Spurs already possess elite defensive talent, multiple creators, and a franchise player capable of changing both ends of the floor. Their next step will be decided by what happens when a close series reaches its most exhausting minutes, and every normal advantage has been challenged. Wembanyama does not need fewer skills. He needs fewer decisions between himself and his best shot. An elbow face-up flowing into a high-release turnaround or one-dribble pull-up gives him that path, while preserving the creativity that makes him the alien. If he turns that action into something defenses anticipate but still cannot stop, the Spurs will have more than another spectacular weapon. They will have a reliable answer for the possessions that decide championships. And if you want to see what happens when that version of Wembanyama shares the court with Fox, Castle, Harper, and Carter Bryant, watch our breakdown of the Spurs' potential death lineup next.